The Yellowstone Costnerversy. On Friday, September 1st, Kevin Costner stood across from his soon-to-be ex-wife in a courtroom battle for child support payments. Both flanked by lawyers, it was a sad example of how a marriage of 18 years could unravel so quickly. Costner said to Fox News Digital, "When you have a life that long with somebody, there is no winner." There certainly were no winners when the Oscar-winning actor announced he would be leaving Yellowstone. Creator Taylor Sheridan was forced to end his series early. Paramount Plus will lose the show that made them actually competitive against Netflix. And millions of viewers will now have their favorite modern western cut short, never mind the fact that they can't even see the end of Season 5. It's a problem that's been stewing behind the scenes for a while, and we're only now just learning why Costner decided to leave in the first place. But there's more to it than just the loss of the show's leading actor. The end of Yellowstone happens at the intersection of long-awaited dreams, broken hearts, and a fight between actors and directors. For the first couple of seasons, Taylor Sheridan would share writing credits with the occasional co-writer, though he participated in writing every episode. For the past few seasons, though, when Sheridan writes a script for Yellowstone, he goes up to his property in Wyoming and locks himself inside a tiny one-room wooden building he calls a cabinet. There, he can isolate himself from the world and churn out scripts for Yellowstone and its many spin-offs. It's unusual, since most writers in Hollywood work in groups, or at the very least coordinate with other staff on the show, but Sheridan is a lone wolf. But this individualism doesn't stop at the door of his one-man writer's room. Sheridan often sees it as necessary to maintain full creative control over his shows in order to see his vision through. The writer-director was once working on 4 shows at the same time: Yellowstone, its prequel series 1923, the Sylvester Stallone-led Tulsa King, and the recently released Special Ops Lioness. Being so busy, his plan was to write the pilots for Tulsa King and Lioness, and then get a showrunner and writer's room to create the rest of the show. But in both cases, he ended up firing the writers and directors because of creative differences. He simply says the writer's room doesn't work for him. But that lone wolf style doesn't sit well with the WGA. Part of what they're striking for is a minimum number of writers on every show. Sheridan's uncompromising attitude has led him to push other Hollywood creatives aside in favor of just doing the work himself. It might seem like he just has a good work ethic, but on set, some people have started spreading rumors he's developed a full-blown god complex. Kelly Riley, who plays Yellowstone's fan-favorite character Beth Dutton, says that she butted heads with the show's creator during Season 5. She thought Beth might be going in a different direction than was natural for her character. She compared acting in the show similar to being in the audience. "There are still things that I read and I didn't expect, or sometimes I wish for something else for her, but that's the same as the audience. We're all sort of beholden to the vision of the storyteller, and we serve the story." Of course, other actors seem to think Sheridan is quite empathetic given his early career as an actor. Julia Schlepfer, who plays Alexandra on 1923, remembers Sheridan being quite a calming and supportive influence when she was auditioning for her role. She remembers him saying, "Just be yourself, and I'll read with you." The truth is, he seems to pick and choose which people he respects on set. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he said, "I don't really give a shit what a line producer or some physical production person thinks. I care a lot about craft services and set decorators and assistant camera operators and people that are working their asses off for way longer than I work. And I work 16 to 18 hours a day. They're doing it for $35 an hour. I really care what they think." Sheridan is a person who seems to respect hard work and tends to push aside anyone he sees as getting in his way. If an actor is just trying to do the best they can, he'll facilitate that. But if someone is trying to add their creative voice to the project, it will not go unpunished. So when Kevin Costner decided to leave the series, it was a big blow to Sheridan. Many believe that the two men were at each other's throats, and more blamed Costner for the show's premature ending. But the situation turned out to be more complex than that. So much so that Costner might end up suing Paramount for trouble had with his departure. As for Costner and Sheridan, the two men are adults and handled their dispute as such. Despite the rift that may be growing between them, Sheridan still respects Costner as an actor. As Sheridan once said, "His creation of John Dutton is symbolic and powerful, and I've never had an issue with Kevin that he and I couldn't work out on the phone." He hinted to James Hibbard of The Hollywood Reporter that the character of John Dutton was never meant to make it to the end of the show, and has assured reporters numerous times that the series will wrap up the way it was supposed to from the beginning. At first, Costner was demonized for leaving. For a long time, we all thought that he was simply getting out of Yellowstone to work on his own film, Horizon, a passion project of his that he's been trying to get made for 35 years. Costner said he was trying to keep both projects going but had been crippled by constantly changing demands and the awkward schedule of Yellowstone. A schedule, by the way, that was not set by Sheridan but the show's producers. When it was decided that Yellowstone's 5th season would be split into 2 parts, Costner kept saying that he didn't have enough time to work on that show twice a year while he was trying to produce his movie. It would be easy to see how he and Sheridan could have fought over their own projects, but now we know there was a little more on his plate than just another Western. Costner's wife, Christine Baumgartner, filed for divorce earlier this year. The two had long been estranged, but now Costner was caught up in a legal battle for property, income, and how often he would see his own children. Baumgartner had sued Costner to increase his child support payments to a monthly $161,592. And though the judge ruled in his favor, the rest of us only recently found out. Costner struggled through negotiations with Paramount to try and lessen his obligations for the show, since now, along with making a movie, he was also dealing with a divorce. The actor and the production studio were unable to come up with an agreement, and so Costner must have felt forced to leave the show just to deal with his own life. Paramount decided they would cancel Yellowstone instead of letting it continue, and Costner said he would probably have to sue Paramount over unresolved issues. The mess might have come from Costner's life, but none of it seems to be his fault. Sheridan probably still respects Costner for that reason. Despite all the damage he's done by leaving Yellowstone, he was just a hard-working actor trying his best to keep it together. Paramount probably doesn't appreciate Costner's exit either, but in a situation like this, the actor was right. There are no winners.